Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to fit the winch. So this is part 3. Gosh, we're having an exciting time. But I think it's going to go into 4 parts. And when we're discussing if a trilogy is 3 parts, what is a 4-part series? And Tyler come up with quad. Someone said, get you a microphone, Tyler, because they can't hear your very highly valued input. So I have to walk over.
I'm a silent partner now.
You are. You've been silentified. Right. So we are going to get the winch. We've got it on the table. Right. Some questions from yesterday. Good point. Someone said, if you're going to put that big winch, I think it was Mr. Barkley, said, if you're going to put that big old fat winch on the front and it's right hanging out the front, what about the front suspension? Are you going to be like some dragster driving along like that? Now, good question. I looked on the parts manual and there are 2 kits. It's actually 3 kits. 2 kits, essentially 2 halves. One is the kit for coil sprung cars. And indeed, in that kit, you get new Super Butch Beef coil springs for the front. So watch that. There's not many coil sprung cars out there as I speak now, but as they release the 90 and the commercial, we will see more coil sprung cars. And they might actually be good vehicles for fitting the winch too, because they will be the more basic vehicles. So if you're doing that, get the kit with the big Butch springs, and you're additionally going to have to change your springs. This car is on air suspension and it's got height sensors, so when it senses I'm driving like that, it will do it up. So that's cool. Right, second thing, pricing information. So someone said, can you put the price information up? So I've gone online, and the pricing online, I've got access to Land Rover's pricing catalogue, only shows me retail, doesn't show me dealer prices. And they break all the bits of the kit down and they give a part number for the whole kit together, but they haven't given me retail pricing. So one thing I said I would cover yesterday and I didn't is, were those cutouts we did in the side of this bit in the right place? So if you dive inside there, Tyler, you will notice I've put a little bit of orange thing around there. I don't know if there's enough light, but essentially there is a metal bracket that seems to come across on a corner, so they seem to be in the right place. So yes, it's okay to follow my instructions and Land Rover's instructions, or my interpretation of Land Rover's instructions. Right, have we covered everything? Have we recapped? There was one more thing. Torque wrench. We were using the torque wrench yesterday and I was just putting it away tidy in the workshop this morning, and I thought, I better explain to Tyler and others. Torque wrenches is a scientific instrument. It sets your torque. Now, what you're supposed to do when you put them away, we'd wound it up to 110, so we'd really wound against the spring yesterday. Well, I say we, Tyler had. What you've got to do is you've got to loosen it off, because otherwise, if you leave, you don't want to go around with a loaded gun. That's what I said to Tyler. I said, so you want to take that so it's loose before you put that away. Right. Okay, so we are going to now... I can't quite get it that long, get it in the box. Right, let's get on to the winch. Let's have a look at the winch. So, Mr. Barkley and others. Someone wrote to me and said, how heavy is the winch, Simon? I said, I don't know. Why is it troubling you so much? What's the big deal? It's going to sit on the front. And he was saying, well, when we go off-roading in Botswana, and I'm like, steady on. That's more exotic than Cornwall, isn't it? So I thought, well, fair enough, if you're going off-roading in Botswana. And he said, well, you take it off sometimes and they only go off-roading and they go on a fierce trip and they don't want to have the winch on the front all the time because of the weight and the economy and multiple reasons. Risk of theft as well, I guess. No. So we are going to, first thing we are going to weigh, I've got it all in the box, so I'm not only going to weigh the winch, I'm going to weigh all the wiring and everything. So here we go. We've nicked the warehouse scales. Right, let's set these up, and you might have to give me a hand, Tyler. 3, 2, they're flash, aren't they? Right, let's see if this works, sorry, Tyler. Right, hold on, let me get into position. We need to tidy up. Right, 1, 2, 3. Right, what's the scores on the doors, Tyler?
36.9.
What is the camera making funny noises?
No, it's the scales.
The scales, oh. Right, 36.9. Yeah, so pushing. I reckon you're going to be pushing 40 or 50 kilograms. If you take into account the weight of this tray as well, it's going to be, I reckon we're going to be a good 60 kilograms. But we saved a bit of weight because we've taken that off, but that wasn't that heavy, was it? No. So that's the sort of weight figures, not very scientific, well, mildly scientific. Right, what are we going to get on? Right, so let's unpack this, Tyler. Let me see what I can do without your assistance. Right then. Bum, bum, bum.
More nice packaging.
We do like the packaging. Now this is a WARN branded box, okay? So this is WARN. I like that. That's good. That's that sort of. They use that in good word, Tyler. They use that in inside doors. Some cheap doors I've seen that in. Right then. What have I got here? WARN. Oh, I got goodies. If I could get in the bag. Better. Oh no, I'm in. They've got little sticky bits that you can just pull up. What have I got here? WARN. There, Tyler. Go prepared. Advice for everybody there. Look at that. Go prepared. How can you have a trademark on go prepared? Anyway, there you go. Right then. Whoa. We got cable ties, a plethora of cable ties.
That's good.
And oh, that looks a mega fuse, literally mega fuse. There you go. For how many amps? 450 amp fuse. Stroof.
Don't want to blow that.
And it meant to blow the door. Oh, we got an extra hook. I got some sort of hooky shackle-edge in there. It says parts pack platinum. There you go. Only the best for me. We've got more branded stuff. We'll get it all out and lay it all out nicely. That's like Christmas, Tyler. Right then, we've got a box. Now I did see that in the instructions. Some sealed now. I could guess what that is, but better quality zip bags than Land Rovers. Oh, I'm coming out the other end. Right then, some conduit, Tyler. Flexible conduit. Always good. Well, if you want to watch an interesting video, watch my Mitsubishi video. Well, don't really, but it's an interesting video. I'll put the link there. And on our Mitsubishi, the gearbox, I bought it with a broken automatic gearbox. And after about 100,000 miles, the Mitsubishi, the loom inside, chafes against this ribbon and cut through, which was interesting. So, right, we've got a whole load of instruction manuals and more stickers. They're into the branding, aren't they? And we've got some sort of European Declaration of Conformity. I know. So obviously winches are pulling, and if you're using these professionally, a lot of places will want to know you've got certified, and it's good. No one wants to be using a winch and it snap. That'd be a lot of disaster there. Right, so we got all that, right? Is there anything on the other side, Tyler? Or shall I turn the scales off? They're working hard there. Right then. What have we got here? Oh, a cigarette lighter adapter. So we're gonna we got our, and then I guess that's a charging cable, USB charging cable, look. And that's we better fly the winch. Right, it said make sure that's fully charged, so we might put that on charge. There's nothing worse than getting your new toys out and having flat batteries. That is a cable, I would say, Tyler. Right, what are we doing? What else have we got? Right, so I think these are all attached to these are the big girt cables, what is attached to the, same as a rear light connector, that one, Tyler. Did you recognise that? That's a Land Rover rear light connector, but yeah. Right, so there's the big, look at them. I reckon they take about 450 amps before they blew them. There we go.
Just
a guess. Right. What have we got here? The antenna factor. What do you reckon that could be? I reckon. So this will be for, this is going to be for receiving. Oh, look, a little stubby one. Look, is that magnetic?
I know.
Hold on. We got anything? It's all aluminium. Yeah, it's magnetic, which is great. But your Land Rover, the wings are steel. But anyway, they'll probably tell us. Let's hope it tells us where to put them. Right, so we got that. Right. I think we're done then, aren't we? I think that's the. Oh, it's a little mini loom there. He looks a bit fragile, doesn't he? He doesn't look as tough as the others, and he hasn't got waterproof. He's got waterproof seals. When they make connectors, they put little silicone sort of donuts around the outside of the wires. Yeah, they are in there. Yeah, so he's all waterproof. We will. Right. Woo!
Oh my god.
OMG! Look at that baby. Right, so I think we're ready to lift that out. Right, let's leave that there, nice and safe for the minute, and let's dive and look at the instructions and see what it tells us to do first. So we have everything laid out, and Tyler's done a good job of numbering it, lettering it even, based on the instructions. Everything seems to be here. We've got a bonus. Think, oh look, we've got that super looking hooky thing. That'll be good, that will. That'll tow the smart car out of trouble. Everything seems to be here. We've got the antenna, we've got all the control bits, the remote control. This looks a bit odd. People, leave him alone, Simon, stop having a go. I'm not having a go. I just wonder what goes through people's minds sometimes when they say, right, you're gonna need a USB cable. Right, and you're gonna, right, and bear in mind, right, let's just apply some logic to this. They give you a cigarette lighter, so you're gonna be in the car. Right, you hold that end, Tyler. Right, how big is your car gonna have to be to need to, it's just too long, But anyway, right, so we get that. We have got a couple of bits missing. What bits did we have missing, Tyler? Well, let's have, yeah, there was this bit here. There was a couple of, we only had one of these. We're supposed to have two, and some of those cable tie bits. This cover is in the other kit we got down there. Thank you, Ty. That's the bit we got the other day. All the other bits were sort of all right. This is the heat shrink. These are your butt spline. What was this? We didn't know what that was. What's minus one of those? Is that like I've got to give them one of those back? Don't know. Tyler said it could be taken off the car, which is a better suggestion than my slightly sarcastic one. We were missing a blade fuse. Now, I don't know where the blade fuse goes, so they did order us out of a 5 amp blade fuse, but we've got plenty of those. So there we go. We couldn't find that, but generally the kit's nearly all there, which always seems to be the right. Make sure the remote control's wirelessly charged. We'll get that if we can find a USB point close enough. Right, we'll get that on charge. Right, and I don't really know what that's telling us. It's just telling us there's loads of stuff there. First thing it says is you've got it right. So yes, so we had some discussions about the flaps, letting the flaps and washing the radiators, and there's some good comments below in the videos, so read those. And here it's saying, right, you've got to cover, it says the one, but there's two. We've got 2 active flaps on ours, and basically it's saying cut the vane connector off, which seems a bit brutal to me, even by my standards, and apply heat shrink to the exposed wire. Now, what I think Land Rover should do, when we sell some fog light kits, and you only connect one fog light and it bridges across, and we supply this blanking plug, which is a totally sealed plug. It's like a dummy plug, and you just plug it in. It doesn't even need the blades in there, but what it does is, it would be really good if Land Rover could supply the mating plug for that you could just plug it in and leave it there, and then if at a later point you wanted, because there's a point of no return cutting that off. So I'm going to do a little Simon thing that I've just dreamt up. I have got some surgical gloves, and I have removed one finger. It's very dark. I've cut the finger off, right? And I reckon I can make a little thing here. I reckon I can stretch that over there. Right, and I'm gonna, all right, and then I reckon I can put a little cable tie around the back. Now, either this is gonna, some people's gonna say, all you've done there, Simon, is created a little well to hold water, but it's too early in the morning to go cutting connectors off. Maybe those guys did damage the loom, but maybe you're supposed to damage the loom. I don't know.
It's likely they could cut the wrong loom.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's a good point, Tyler. That is a good point. When you go telling people, go cutting connectors off, it's kind of dangerous, isn't it? And you better just saying, just tape it up. Because you're right, Tyler, they could have just got a bit happy and...
The dealership can do it.
There is one bit later in the video, Tyler, where we have got to cut something, but we'll have a look at that. Right. Oh, no. Oh. Poor quality gloves. I think you got to get a... It's not right. Right, so we will get that all dressed up. Right, and we'll do that in a minute. You don't need to watch me do a cable tie. Right, the next thing it tells you to do is to grab this box, and this box is going to mount in there. And if you stick your nose in there, Tyler, oh, don't knock the light over. You will see I have got my colouring pencil out again, and I've put two. You can see there are two threaded bolts pre-inserted, and in the kit it should give us two M4 bolts, if I'm not mistaken, Tyler. N, there you go. So if I take those two little N ones there, and you will need a little Allen key. Now, it's somewhat confusing because you can see there's sort of 4 mounting holes, arguably 6, but it seems to line up with the bottom one. Now, those cables are pretty tight on there. Right, Tyler's worked it out. He's had another look at the instructions, but they're not that clear, are they, Tyler? No. But he's had a good idea. So actually, we are using these middle mounts. So what you can do is you can just put the bolts in there, a couple of threads. Now, it does get quite tight on these cables here. So let's have a look. Let's have a look if we can... Oh, God. It's going. There you go. Right. There we go. And then slot those... All right. Slot those down. You got that, Tyler? So that is actually... Well, they're not going to wobble anywhere, those cables, are they? Which is an advantage there. They're all in there nice and tight now. Right. So, there we go. I'll tighten that up, put my wire clip on it, and we'll go on to the next bit. Right, we are now ready, almost, to lift the winch in. So, there's some bit in the instructions. It says we've got to remove this bolt here. This is our interpretation of the instructions. And it says we've got to check there's 16 millimeters of thread on this bolt. It's almost like they had a dodgy batch of winches where someone had put the wrong bolt in them. Well, it's unthreaded in her. So I guess you need a good engagement of thread, otherwise you're going to cross-thread it. So here we go, Tyler. Have we got 16 millimeters? Whoa! We haven't got a cable anymore, that's for sure. Right then. We have got 16 millimeters. There we go. Yeah. Good, we're in. Right. So we have then got to, let's get this cable back again before we get the... No.
Might as well leave it.
I was going to say, because we've got to take it off again anyway, haven't we, to fit that. So yeah, we'll leave that. Separate him from the positive. Remember which side it is, not that it matters. I'll leave the bolt there. Okay, right. Now I've got to use all my... Right, one thing I wanted to show you before we fit it in. So you've got these nice 4 feet. I've coloured the circles in there. That's what's actually going to bolt the... And they are into an aluminium casting here. And the threads look to be... Are they threaded inside? Because I think it's these 4 bolts later that are going to... No. So how are we late? So later on, we're going to have to get some.
That's what the nuts are for.
We're going to have to get those in there, but we'll have room, are we, Tyler? And they're going to slide in, are they?
Ooh, that's going to be.
Let's have a look. It's better to have a look at it here than when we're.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah. So they're going to.
Perfect.
They're just perfectly fitting in there, aren't they?
We've got to do that while it's.
We got to do that, or do we do a sneaker? Put them in now. Should we go freestyle, Tyler? Yeah. Should we put them in and put a little bit of tape over them to stop them falling out? While I've got it here on the bench, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put a little bit of. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape over there and then whip it off in a minute. Right, we'll do that. Right, we have it precariously balanced on a little finely engineered tower. Right, what do we? So we are looking for out of this box of magic trickery here. Make sure we keep all these out the way. I'm going to tuck that right back in behind there. Tuck that one out the way. Right, so this is the cable, and we've got to go on to this. And we've also got to get this on there. Now, careful, because there was an original wire there as well. We have to get, so there's 3 wires, which is why we need a whole 16 millimeters. And then we've got the earth cable, which is languishing on the floor. Right, so I guess when you so this has got an offset here. You want to get this flat side against the winch, otherwise it's going to be all weird. Right, so I'm going to go for that one. I'm going to go, right, so I've got the washer on, the spring washer. I'm going to go 1, 2, I'll get the 2 little ones in. And then we're going to get the bad boy in. Right, and then hopefully our positioning is good enough here. Now we've got to be super careful now because we haven't got much. Right, and we've got to So we've got to flip it over because we've got our mounting point. So we've got to rotate this down and in without losing our fingers. Right then, you ready for the challenge, Tyler?
One-handed.
One-handed. See if you can put it, I don't know, put it on the table there. See if you can balance the camera finally. I think people will forgive us. You might have to... Whoa. Right, here goes. I'm worried about the camera now. Right, so we're going to rotate it around and lower it down. Woo. Are we in?
You need to rotate it.
Rotate it just a bit more. Hold on then. That's it. Right. He's in. Back on the camera. We will tidy this up. We now have right, I'm careful with all these other cables. So we've got some cables here. Now that one I think we can connect. We're jumping the gun a little bit, but I did see that one there. So again, you want to sort of think about your cable management a little bit, but we can always unplug it if we're not happy. But let's just get that one connected together. Now make sure he clicks, and we got what have we got left in there? Right, so that's the earth loop wire going down the back there. He's a little exposed. And then we got the antenna wire we'll connect later. Right, let's get back on the instructions and see what they have us doing. Remember, I will put a link below to the instructions. So there's a separate set of instructions for the bit we're doing today, wiring. It's on Land Rover's website, and I will put the link to it in the description. Right, so that tells you now to install the supplied convoluting or conduit to the full length of the leads A1, A2, A3, and A4. Okay, and we've got to feed them through the specified grommet. So they do at the very start tell us which is A1, A2, A3 and A4. This is really annoying. Who would make a colour diagram and colour all the wires yellow when actually the wires are red for power, black for... So they could have made this a lot nicer. Why would you do that? Scratch my head. Right, so basically it's telling us we've got to do, so there's the battery, the red lead we've got to put the conduit on, the negative lead we've got to put the conduit over, and then, so that's A1 and A2, and then it's also telling us A3 and A4, which is the end bit of that little connector we've got, but it actually goes into the box, so they could have, that is supplied with the box, so why if you need to fit conduit to that bit, why didn't it just come anyway? And then A4, which is the other one. So let's go and have a look which ones A4 are. I forget which A4 is. So A4's already got conduit on it. So yeah, that's already got conduit on. So the bit I'm a bit puzzled with is why they couldn't have put the conduit on. And the other thing is you can't now put conduit on either end of this, because if you look, the conduit, let me unplug this again. It looks like it's, there we go. So let's grab a bit of that conduit. So they appear to have given us 2 bits of conduit, and yeah, that ain't going to happen. Right. So let's do the bits we can. Are they the same length, Tyler? I've got a long and a short.
Same length.
Same length. Right. Okay. Now this is another thing. So on the earth, the black cable, that's lush. Look, that's got nice. On this end, I just tried threading this through, and both ends were square, and it was, I mean, it is actually really square, and it was catching, so I've had to file that. It would have been nice if they could have filed those round. That's doing nothing for you, that sharp corner there. Let me just get that. Oh, there we go. Some left-handed filing. It's not, normally one moves the file. Now this end's doubly hard to thread through. We'll see how we do, because it's got quite a sort of kink in it, which seems to have been pre-manufactured like that. Let's have a go. Maybe I'll just That was definitely easier with those rounded corners. Alright, he's fighting me a bit. Alright. Come on. You can see it's sort of starting to snag on the conduit a bit. Right, I'm going to file that a bit more. Let's get that a bit nicer. Hallelujah. We're done. That was a two-man job. So one of us was feeding and one of us was wriggling. And it's just occurred to us how clever WARN are. They're sharper than you and I, Tyler, put together, because look, what they've done is they've made us do their assembly for us. They could have slipped that conduit over before they crimped these on, these bad boys. It would have been easy as. But no, let those off-roaders, let them work it out. So yeah, and then obviously, yeah, that filing helped. You're not going to get that through with those square ends. So there we go, WARN. Little word of advice for you. You've been warned. Oh, that was good. Hold on, did they get that on the microphone?
Probably not.
Probably not. Go on, say it again, Tyler, go on.
You've been warned.
See, look at that. See, we're missing all these little gems. We're going to have to work out how to get two mics going. Right, now, Tyler's, he's on it today. He's on it like Sonic. He said, well, look, they haven't given you enough. How are you supposed to do, because that's like A1 and A2, how are you supposed to get A3 and A4 done as well? Because we've got no conduit left. Right, luckily, we've got our own. I found this old wiring loom. Probably from what I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you a different type of conduit. So this conduit here doesn't have a split in it, but this conduit here has a little gap in it there. So it's got a little split. So you can retrospectively apply this over anything you don't like the look of. So if we don't like the look of that, we can sort of feed it in. And in fact, if I put a bit of tape around that now, Tyler, I'll put a bit of tape around it, then I don't have to tape it up when it gets to the bottom. I can tape it up now. So we'll do that. Put a bit of tape around, because obviously if you leave it open, the wires can come out. But if you put a bit of tape around each end, it tends to do the trick. So I'll get conduited up. Right, the picture shows we've now got to fit this grommet. Now, this grommet is, and it shows somehow we've got to get that wire through that hole. Now, I know it's rubber. I get the whole expansion and stretchiness of rubber thing. It would be a lot easier if it was to go that way, and we may end up doing it that way, but getting it that way. But even this way, there's no way. That's even if I get lubed up and all, that ain't really going to have that. No, right. So we are, I don't know why. Again, if they'd have put this on, they could have put that on. But they're clever.
Specialised tool for it.
Yeah.
Some sort of grommet stretch.
Now, again, Land Rover, let me know if I got it wrong. That looks a bit more, I got a fighting chance with that, haven't I? We'll have a look. I don't want to put us, I want to try and keep it round. I don't want to put any nick in it, really. Right, so we've got that on. We just have to make that hole a bit bigger. It's got a good grip on there. That's all good. What I did do is I'll put a little bit of red insulating tape round the red cable, just so that we know which one we're working with. Right, next you will need part D. Now, this didn't come with the winch kit. This came with the other parts we bought. Right, and it says, before you do anything, make sure you have this hole here. If not, you have to drill this hole, and it's in the instructions. But luckily, we have that hole there. So this is a cover, and this is going to go over here. That, right, with these bits pointing to the front, and it's going to cover the winch. Right. Later on, we are going to bolt it down, I think, with some, and Tyler's highlighted the holes where it's going to bolt down. But now, first thing we need to do is get this red cable through the hole highlighted there. All right, it's going to go through that first. Right. And we're going to get that there. And we're going to sort that out. And then the next step we're going to do in just a second, just so I can put that, is we're going to have to thread it through this thing. But you've got to come from this side. We'll thread it through, but I'll put that down for a minute because I'm running out of hands. Right, so I've now got to get that grommet installed in that hole. Right, so we'll leave our grommets. They're proving troublesome. And as we're going to be tugging at the cables, all we're going to do is just get the grommet in, tug the cable, and it's going to come out again. So we are going to go back and do those at the end as a sort of final dressing. Right, we now need to route the cables, the main ones, back up in this direction generally. And it looks like we're going to have to take the headlight out. So we think we've not had the headlight out. We haven't practiced this. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Now, hopefully that's enough. But I'm afraid we're pushed for time today. Now, it is important to say that when you start getting near to this electric, you do need to disconnect your battery. We have our battery disconnected because we've been playing with something else. It's all top secret at the moment. But All will be revealed, but we're going to get this winch done. No, it's not going to kill us, Tyler. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. It's just Meccano. How many days?
There's some other jobs that aren't fine.
It's like a big Lego kit. Well, right, and there he is. He's here. Are we all the same?
All the same.
Right. Now it seems to want to come, Tyler. Well,
It's going to get stuck anywhere. I expect it to be the top left. But
it feels like there's a clip on this. See that, Tyler? There's a doop, 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 doop. Ah, there's a little. Looks like there's a little. Is there a little barbed fitting? There's a little barbed fitting. We will have a look. Now, presumably there's a connector on the back of here somewhere. Oh, it's got a good length on it, hasn't it, Tyler? Blimey.
dirty connector.
It's got a dirty connector. We could let him dangle. It's not... Because it's got one of these little things there, I'm going to let him dangle for the moment. But, or should we? No, we'll take it off. We'll take it off. We'll do it properly. Right. I think... There you go. Pull that up there. I haven't done this before. Right, and that sort of auto-ejects that. Then we'll get a little trim tool. You going? Yep. I got some, yeah. Right. Well, headlight. Boop, boop, boop. Fairly. Now, there's different sorts of headlights. Ours isn't the funky one. The funky one has a big sort of smiley face that goes on there. But we digress, Tyler. We digress. Right. So, there we go. So, somehow, we'll have to have a look at the pictures again, but we're going to have to route this cable up through here. Now, I don't know if it goes under there. We'll check it out. But that's going to be the key to getting a safe routing, is getting this up to the battery connector. So, right. Before we go routing the cable, it's most imperative. We had this bit earlier in the video, but I put it down. We'll pick that up again. And we need a G and a H. Now, you will notice that the H, you have 3, and the G. So these are cable ties hybrid with a barbed connector. So we need 1 G and 1 H. We need one of these. We will need, in a minute, these bolts M and these little nuts R, because those bolts are going to bolt this to the chassis. Right, come with me. So, pick up your red cable. So we know it's red because we put the extra tape around it, and it's red at the end. Put it through from this side. So the connector, so as you look it through, it will come through and see that. Put it through the conduit. Oh, what a satisfying noise that is, Tyler. Right, now right, if you come around this side, Tyler, I have coloured in the 2 holes, and they are going to bolt through these holes, but that needs to be in that orientation with the connector nearest that big bolt there. Okay, it's the best way I can describe it. But I'm not going to bolt that up yet. I am going to, because I'm going to be fighting this cable. This cable needs to route behind this and emerge up here. Whoa. Okay, and let's get it all through there. I'm not too worried where it goes for the minute. I'm just going to get that. Right. That all seems good. There. Right, now we'll get those nuts and bolts. This bit is actually, I couldn't see this in the instructions. Could you, Tyler? No. So I'm going to put as I've got room, I'm going to put the bolts in from the back, because I'm a bit worried that when I put these bolts in down here, see these holes down here to hold this little cover in, I'm worried if I've got a long bolt sticking out, I'm going to poop myself, which is not going to be great.
Oh, that needs to be...
Oh, yeah, rotated one. Well done. Quality control there, Tyler. Right. Ah, what have we got? We've got that grommet. That grommet's supposed to be in that hole, which we're going to do later. Alright, there we go. Right, I'll get these 2 in, and we'll get these tight, and then we'll come back and join you. So we've got the red one up. We have bolted this in, And now we're on the black cable. So this is the big, thick earth black cable. And it runs exactly alongside this one here. If I can get this sort of right. It's a bit tricky with this.
Quite girt.
Quite girt big. Right, now I'm going to thread them behind this washer bottle hose as well, because that's just going to give me problems, I can see. Right, get that twist out of there. Hook that behind the strut up there, so I've got them both up here for the minute. My battery's disconnected, but my points are covered up there. Right, so then we've got some. Right, Tyler's got this worked out. So we're starting on the black cable. There's a little hole there. I should have coloured him in, Tyler. There's a little hole there in that. And which one does he have? He has the small one, doesn't he? One. So we're going to barb. I'm just trying to work out which way I'm going to have to go with the cable. So I'm going to go like that, right? So I need to think about that. I'm going to like that. It's a bit black and dark in there, isn't it? Right, so that's got that, and that's good. That's keeping it away from this block here. Thank you, Tyler. Should have got that before. Right, and then you told me it's this big one with the bigger sort of standoff there, and that apparently goes on that crash can down there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'll get it in, and then you'll have a look. There we go. Right, there we go. You got there in the end. I guess you want to get him down quite down and out the way, eh? Okay, right. So we've got both cables now securely coming through their respective points. Now we've got to be careful here, Tyler, because we've got to leave enough room to get this connector on here, haven't we?
Yeah.
At what point do we need to get that connector on? So you want to be careful. We've got a while yet to go. Is it in the kit? Can we put it on there now? Is it in a loom we can get on? Because I'm just be careful, you leave enough room. Don't get this one too tight. Leave it. I'm going to feed a bit back through, so we've got enough room. See there, Tyler, not to cut across too much.
Yeah.
Right, all good. Right, now there is another point under here. Right, there we go. So you can see that there. We've cable tied him there. So these are all getting nice now. Right. I have to work out, where's the next one, Tyler? Does it say to cable tie it onto the main loom? Yeah. Right, so I'm gonna route that.
Doesn't give a part for the cable tie, so I'm assuming it's just one of the ones that's in the pack.
General issue cable tie. So yeah, I got that. I haven't trapped that headlight loom. Did you see that there? I move that headlight loom round so he's free. Right, there we go. Not quite the correct tool, but there we go. Right, we'll keep going. Right, we're going to take a break just from routing the cables for a minute, because to get these in exactly the right positions and tighten those cable ties, I'm worried about the position of the winch. Now, we've looked in the instructions, and bolting the winch down doesn't come right to the end, and I can't see the logic of that. So we are going to bolt the winch down. Now, be careful, there is a grey wire under here. Right, let me get the light. There's the thin grey cable down in there, and it comes from the middle of the casing and it goes between the two legs. So just make sure you get your hand behind there and check that the cable's not trapped before you bolt it in. Right, you join us under the car. So I'm just going to put a bit of copper grease on there. Right, and you can see if I move the winch, you should better see the hole here, because I coloured it in orange. Ooh, there's my hole there. Right, now it's got those nuts in there that we put in with that tape. So hopefully it will find. We got some label there every time. Oh, I'm happy I put those nuts in when I did, Tyler. I don't know when it was going to tell me to put those nuts in.
I think it's second to last.
Second? No way. No, I'm having this bolted in now. I can't see the... I think the electrical engineers wrote the first bit of this instruction, didn't they? They wanted all the electrics done. Right. Yeah, because these would have been nicer if they were there, but they're just behind those brackets. Oh, go on, baby. Go on. But I have to say, those little it's finding each one of those nuts. I was a bit worried it might not find those nuts, especially without a lead in. That was straight in every time. Right, let's have a go. We've got 15mm socket. Right, whoa, hold on a minute. That's going to have to be a spanner, look. Yeah, a spanner job there. All the old school Defender boys are watching this going, yeah. They've commented on the last couple. When I fitted one on my old Defender, it took me 40 minutes, mate. Just done, bosh. Just like bolted off with the front bump, on with the new one. And to be fair, that was the case. But this is a much more complicated machine, good and bad. Let's discuss. I mean, it's got all that crash protection. It's got some serious wiring. It's a full kit, right? I'll get Tyler to do those two up next. Then we'll come back and do some more wire routing. Right, so one earth connection that we didn't fit in is this. Now, this was part number I, if I'm not mistaken, Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's little barbed. And what it's got to do is go through that orange hole at the back corner there. And what it's going to do is it gives this little curve here, and we're going to cable tie the wire around this sort of little splint. Can I call it a splint? Like that. All right, there we go. And then we've got to get that. We've got a grey cable in there. I don't know what he's doing. And we've got to get that earth cable, because this is what I was worried about with the overall distance we've got available. Tyler, I might have to just feed a little bit back through. I'm gonna have to. Luckily, I haven't done these too tight. And I'll get the cable tie round that one there. And we've got that earth in place. Right, we are going to route the earth cable. It looks quite easy now. That'll be half the wiring done, I think, if we've got the earth on. Right, we've got to go behind this ready stuff here. Right, so I'm going to go behind there. I'm going to go behind that metal brake pipe there. Careful. Right, it's making its way onto here. Okay, so we've got to remove that peg there. Yeah, that's
a 10mm nut as well, isn't it?
That is a long reach 10mm socket. Yeah, there we go. Right, so here we go. Will this comfortably find its way? Now, we've got to be careful which way up. Really want to go that way up, don't we? So that we've got the flat bit underneath. Right, let's have a look. Angle, right? And that one's fixed there. So actually, I think I'm going to, if I come along here and cable tie it to that other earth, that's going to be neat, isn't it, Tyler?
Yeah. Earth and earth.
Earth and earth. Together. Beautifully. Right.
You never want to route an earth next to a...
No, and that pipe there, I don't want to stress that pipe, but that's keeping it away from all this positiveness. So I think, yeah, if we can get that down there. Right. Now, actually, there's one thing, Tyler, let me just grab a camera. One thing I want is where would I put those ties there? Right, I've come in early and I've cut a bit of loom off a scrap car. Look, I've got a bit of loom here. I'm going to try and hide that in the Defender somewhere. And then when we come and do the wiring later, I'm going to try and get Tyler into trouble. In fact, I might go in that little hole there. I reckon if I put him coming out of there, and we'll get him to the... There you go. I'll shove it in there, look, and get him to put on that loom later. I reckon I'll have him in trouble. Right, see how this goes. Can you just grab that? Now, there was something in the instructions about this cable here we had to move. You see this one here?
Yeah.
You see, can you just cut that cable tie off there? Shit, you cut through the loom.
Oh, God.
Look, what's going on? What have you done? What?
What?
Tyler, you've been framed. I'll set that up this morning. Cut off the Audi. Now we are on the lead of power. Right, so the trick with this is we've got to follow the main loom, which runs sort of right in the back corner along here. And then we've got to come round it does a little U-bend here. I've taken the fixings off. Now this back cover comes off. Now this back cover, you'll notice there's two sort of breakout points. It looks like, I think I can just break these out. And what we need to do is break out this one here. Let me just grab the pliers. It says use a hacksaw, but I reckon my experience in the electrical world, that was easier than a hacksaw, wasn't it? Right, right, and then what we're going to do is, this is positive off the battery. We're going to use a fuse to bridge to there, so it's got that big 450 amp fuse, and we are going to bolt this onto the back. So keep that safe. Right, let's route this cable. So we've got to get behind everything here. Right, let me see if this is, mind your paintwork, he says, bashing it. Right. Okay, that's right. And then that is going to go round. Watch this little cable here. He looks important. He looks my active suspension. Right then. Now I'm not sure if I have to put that on first or the fuse on first, but let's have a look. Right, so we need to grab, when you put these out, Tyler, did you know those nuts were going to go with that fuse?
No.
Did you have some premonition? Right.
They're in the same packet.
Ah, right. So, yeah, because these need to be, the fuse needs to be flat, the fuse needs to go on first. I'm trying to, right, doesn't matter which way round the fuse goes. That does pop on there beautifully, look. Let's get that first nut on there. A bit, not quite spin on, not as freely as I'd hoped. Right, now obviously we've got the, you would be careful, if you haven't disconnected your battery, these terminals are going to be positive. So if you start going waving a spanner around and it touches the bodywork, you're in trouble. So make sure you've got your, right, we'll tighten those up and we will put the cover back on. And then we have now got positive and negative power. You'd think we'd be done, but I think there's some pain and misery yet, isn't there, Tyler?
It's about halfway.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's crack on. Right, we're just looking at the instructions and they'd routed the earth cable on this sharp edge here, but they had some funky clips. But for my liking, it's all going a bit close to this edge is sharp. And we've got a lot of movement, we've got the gas strut and all sorts. So I'm actually happy. I've gone off piste here, haven't we? We've put it on the same as this earth cable and we've swung it round here. Tyler's added a little cable tie on this, not doing a lot bracket down here. So everything there is tight. I'm happier with that. And also the length of it, if you look, it would have been sort of too long. So we've had to create a bit more routage and I'm happy with that. We've got the lid on that. We can put the little, Tyler thinks we have to take this off later. Goodness knows where we've got to go to later. But we have got the positive and negative installed. We have got the winch bolted in. Should we leave it there for today, Tyler? It's going to be a 5-part series, I think, isn't it? We haven't spent much time on this today, to be fair. Just stolen a bit of time here and there. So we are going to leave it there. We have done the positive, negative. We have got the winch bolted in. What have we got to finish? We've got to finish that. And then we've got to get the control connection and that other connections there bolted in. But I think we're doing all right, Tyler.
We've got power, we just need control.
That's very, very deep, Tyler.
I haven't heard that.
No, they can't even hear your profound comments. Right, we are going to leave it there. So that is the winch, sort of heavy duty wiring and the winch installed.